me just maybe address very quickly what the church's position is on the death penalty. There's two things that are going on with the death penalty revision found in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Two things. There is a doctrinal development. So there's something related to doctrine that does develop. That's number one. And then number two, there is a reversal of a discipline. So two things. There is a doctrinal element that develops. And then number two, there is a discipline that has been reversed. Now, I know I've done in-depth videos on the death penalty, but I'm just summarizing them here. Number one, with the doctrinal development, what we have there is a greater insight into the dignity of the human person. That is a doctrinal issue. The dignity of the human person. We're made aware of it in a greater way than previous generations were, especially in light of the Holocaust and stuff like that. So there's some deeper penetration into the dignity of the human person. Now, that's the doctrinal aspect. The disciplinary aspect is, okay, well, when we consider the dignity of the human person in our current context, is it admissible? Can we use it? Now, what Pope Francis is saying is he's saying, well, look, our penal system is such that we can safeguard the safety of people without resorting to the death penalty. And we can apply retributive justice with measures that don't resort to the death penalty. Therefore, in light of the dignity of the human person, it's inadmissible because of those things in today's situation. You'll notice it hinges on the premise that our penal system is such that it can safeguard the safety of individuals without resorting to the death penalty. That's a factual question. Like that's a matter of fact rather than doctrine. Is he right about that? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Maybe in some countries that's true. But is that true for all countries? Aren't there some countries out there that can't protect the safety of their citizens without resorting to the death penalty in some rare cases? One might argue that. And thus, one might argue that Pope Francis's discipline here of saying it's inadmissible can be challenged. Not the doctrine, because the doctrine isn't being challenged, but his conclusion for a discipline can be challenged because it's based on a faulty premise, and that is the penal system today. But even placing that issue to the side, you could still say, but wait, even if it's inadmissible today, like even if we have a society where, all of our penal systems can safeguard and protect people without resorting to the death penalty, even if it's true that it's inadmissible today. And again, the key there is inadmissible, not intrinsically evil. Even if it's inadmissible today, it doesn't mean it was inadmissible, 500-600 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 3,000 years ago, right? Just because something might be inadmissible today doesn't mean it's always inadmissible. It could be that there was a period in time where people couldn't safeguard the safety of citizens. And so they had to resort to death penalty. And that was also the best way to offer retributive justice simultaneously. But again, if it is possible in light of the dignity of the human person to not have to resort to those things, but to, again, distribute retributive justice and protect the safety of the citizens of society, then maybe we should resort to other means. And okay, that can be granted. Yes. So even if it's inadmissible today, that doesn't mean it was always inadmissible. So people make mistakes whenever they see this revision to the death penalty and they say, well, look, that just condemns the Bible. That condemns what the church did 500-600 years ago. No, it doesn't. He's talking about today. And people say, but yeah, he's locating it based on the gospel and the dignity of the human person. Yeah, absolutely, he is. And he's taking those principles and he's applying it to today. But that doesn't mean that you can't take those principles, apply it to a different situation and get a different result. You certainly can. the dignity of the human person may be overridden in a context where you can't guarantee the safety of citizens without resorting to the death penalty. You see? So people will erroneously appeal to the doctrinal aspect in the death penalty revision and somehow think that that has been a change to the doctrine of the death penalty itself, and that's not true. What has changed is the dignity of the human person as far as our greater awareness of it. But the death penalty itself, like whether or not this is intrinsically evil or something, that hasn't been changed. It's not intrinsically evil. It just depends on, in light of the dignity of the human person, what does our situation look like today? Put that in there and see what the result is. But it could completely be a different result if you take the dignity of the human person and put it in a context of a society that isn't able to safeguard the safety of their citizens. You're going to get a different result then. And we might have to override the dignity of the human person for the safety of other individuals and their dignity. Okay, so that's just kind of to recap how the church hasn't like changed anything infallible. Pope Francis isn't saying this is inadmissible. It could be possible that the death penalty could have been used in the past, but he's just arguing in the present that it shouldn't be used for the reasons that I mentioned. And obviously, from a disciplinary perspective, we can raise some challenges and questions there.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. God bless.